So you're now a qualified gym rat, congratulations. Going to the gym has become your one and only true personality. Now that the newbie gains have come to an end, you're faced with the toughest decision of all. Do you turn to science or bro science? What's it gonna be? Sadly, in the fitness industry at the moment, there seems to be a lot of hate between the science nerds and the bro science meatheads.
I was watching YouTube the other day. Something that my usual feed popped up onto my feed for some unknown reason, because I really can't stand the person that popped up on it, but YouTube likes to torture me. A particular video was a very nerdy individual going in depth about Sam Sulek's workout regimen, sets and reps scheme. The most outlandish thing about the video is that this person stated that they had watched all of this person's training videos. Sidebar, Sam looks 1000% better than this person does. And this person is not so much critiquing their physique, kind of just saying like, well, whatever he's doing is working for him. It's like, yeah, which is the exact opposite of what you do, dude.
Let's try and understand why. So quick caveat. If you go to the gym just because you like to get out of your house and don't want to see progression and don't want to push yourself hard and get big muscles, this video is not for you. To better understand this, we need to dive into the brain of a gym meathead. And what will we find other than a void of empty space? Well, what we're likely to find is someone who loves going to the gym. Someone whose biggest fear is standing next to someone bigger than they are.
Helen Keller, well, jack-o'-lantern. She can still see that I'm bigger than this scrub.
The kid who was bullied on the playground and has the desire to lift the heaviest weights on the planet. Someone who maybe struggles with maths and can't count their reps, so every set has to be to failure. We find someone that when the set gets tough, they shout and bark at the weights until they can finally force out that last rep. But on a more serious note, what we find is someone who wants to better themselves, someone who wants to build muscle, someone that wants to make themselves healthier and stronger and have a better physique, and someone who loves the gym. On the flip side of that, now we need to understand what's going on inside the science nerd's head. Let's dive in and see what we find. We find someone who's constantly analyzing everything, trying to optimize every single set, every single rep, counting them, documenting them, making sure they're hitting the numbers they want to hit. Someone who's restructuring their workout plan every 5 minutes to try and do the next best thing to grow muscle because they've run out of gains. Someone whose every drop of mental capacity is taken up by focusing on how they're performing each and every lift, rather than worrying about how much weight they can throw around. Someone who is bullied at school for being small and wearing braces and glasses. Someone whose biggest fear is some meathead walking up to them in the gym and telling them, oh, you're doing that lift wrong, bro. But let's look past all those stereotypes. What do we find? Again, we find someone who loves spending time in the gym, who wants to build muscle, who wants to better themselves, who wants to try and get the best physique they can. Can you see where I'm going here? There's not much difference between the two other than the nitty-gritties above. Their ultimate goals remain the same. Let's debunk some of the more common misconceptions here, that science-based lifters are just small and tiny nerds. Look at Eric Janicki, for instance. He is absolutely enormous. Yes, he might be on performance-enhancing drugs, or he's open about it, but that doesn't mean you can't use science to get yourself massive. His genetics are also absolutely insane. But more commonly, let's look at people like Jeff Nippard, who people say he's small. Just because he's natural doesn't mean he's small. Jeff Nippard is larger than 99% of people out there. He trains really well, uses science-based evidence, and look at the amount of muscle he's able to put on naturally. He's got over a 500-pound squat, people. This guy is not some small, tiny person. Yes, he might be short, but he also is a natural bodybuilder. So his genetics are actually elite level. Another example is Will Tennyson. Again, someone who's natural, similar to Jesse James West, but insane amounts of muscle and a more realistic physique than what you see on the people who are taking performance-enhancing drugs. And let's be real, guys like Will, guys like Jeff, guys like Jesse James West, they are the physiques that you aspire to be, and very few will ever achieve those because they are elite level physiques. Their genetics are insane and they work hard, they train hard, and they've put on all that muscle mass. These guys are not small. The next misconception jumps over to the meathead camp. Meatheads are just dumb idiots who go in the gym and lift weights around and grunt and speak like cavemen. That is not the case, people. Let's look at the biggest meathead of all in the fitness industry at the moment, Sam Sulek. He goes and lifts insane weights, throws weights around, is an absolute unit of a human being, and I'm pretty sure he's on performance enhancing drugs. But Sam Sulek is no idiot. He's studying mechanical engineering, for goodness sakes. He's got high levels of intelligence. These people are not just meatheads. They do it because they love it. They've actually got some brain cells in there, that I can tell you. And they're doing the gym, they're going to the gym because they really do love going there. And why do they throw stuff around? Because it works. Clearly, look at Sam's physique. He's absolutely insanely large. Yes, he could perform this lift a little bit better there, a little bit there. Does it matter? No, he's insanely big. It's clearly working for him. He should keep going. The biggest misconception of all is that you have to pick a camp, either the meathead camp or the science nerd camp. Why not combine the best of both worlds? You don't need to be mutually exclusive to one or the other. Let's take a look at my fitness journey, which started 9.5 years ago. I started off as a real science-based lifter with a coach at the cricket academy talking me through all the movements, making sure the form was right. But then at night, we went with my bros and we just lifted as much weight as we physically could back then, which yes, wasn't a lot, but no one can lift that much weight when you just start out. So we had a bit of both right from the outset. However, I've had so many injuries growing up. I've had 3 stress fractures in my lower back. I've had a hamstring tear, ankle issues, you name it, sport-wise, I've pretty much had it. So I really went into the science camp of not pushing each set hard, making sure every single movement was perfect to avoid injury at all costs, doing face pulls before and after every workout. And yeah, I put on muscle. I put on a decent amount of muscle, and I did that for about 6 years before I realized actually I can lift weights, I should lift weights, I should lift more weights and push myself a bit harder. And really in the last 2 years I've been training a lot more to failure, and guess what? Yeah, I've put on a little bit more muscle. Nowhere near as much as I did in the beginning, but that was because of newbie gains. The longer you train, the less likely you are to build muscle. But I think there's elements to be taken from both camps. If you're just starting out, why not spend a couple of weeks or a couple of months working on your technique, trying to get everything as good as you can, so that yes, when you throw on the heavy weights, actually you can still push them with relatively good technique and target the muscle that you're after. But in my opinion, you need to have that bro, that ego bro sitting on your shoulder saying, just push that weight, just get it up, don't worry, just crank it, however works. Let's try compare lifting in the gym to a maths exam, right? If you got 80% for a maths exam, you would be over the moon, you'd be ecstatic. Obviously, depending on the person, some people want 100%, but we're not talking about those freaks. What we're on about is a normal person going in would be over the moon with 80%. Why not take that into the gym? Why not take your lift, right? 80% of my set is going to be absolutely perfect form. Let's go bench press, perfect form, shoulders back, good chest movement. But what about the last 20%? What happens when you can no longer move the weight with the shoulders back and squeezing hard and pushing? Why not let the shoulders help? Let's be real, the shoulders aren't now going to take 100% of that weight and be the only thing moving it. The body loves to work together. That's why compound movements are so good. But why not let the shoulders help a little bit more and you get another 3 reps? Because guess what? Those 3 reps of bro lifting is 3 more reps that's going to build you more muscle. So for the amount of time it takes, and yes, the non-perfect form, you're going to get more muscle, and you can take that to every lift. The only lift I'd be cautious with is the squat. Let's be real, deadlift, you can just drop the bar, and obviously if you're doing cleans and that sort of thing, be careful with it. And a squat, just make sure you've got the safety rails if you're going anywhere near failure, or you have a really good spotter, although I'd go with the safety racks over a spotter. What we really need to stop hating on each other. Just because someone likes science lifting or someone likes throwing weights around doesn't matter. How does that affect you? What we need to think is everyone is different, and thank goodness for that. If everyone was the same, this world would be one hell of a boring place to live. Let's be real, no one would like it. The fact that someone enjoys counting every rep, writing it down in a book they carry in their pocket between each set, and making sure every set is to an exact RPE of 8. Does it matter? So what if it's not optimal? But actually it could be optimal because there are some studies that show it is optimal. But guess what? Studies change all the time, new research comes out, and science is forever changing. What doesn't change is what that person loves to do. And if you're on the other camp, if you love just going in, grunting at the weights, throwing weights around, slapping on the plates, so what? that is fantastic, because guess what? The way you're going to build muscle over a long period of time is not through science lifting, is not through bro science lifting. There's only one word that comes into it, and that is consistency. If you're consistent, as well as all the science stuff like the progressive overload, adding more weights, but you can progressively overload for 6 months and build some muscle, or you can be consistent for 6 years. Who do you think is going to look better? The guy who's been consistent for 6 years but not training 100% perfectly, or the guy who was training perfectly for 6 months but didn't enjoy it because perfect training wasn't for him? It's the person that does it consistently. Do what you love doing, because that's the exercise you're going to do forever. Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate your time. If you liked the video, please smash that thumbs up button down below and subscribe for some awesome new content. If you haven't already seen, I spent a day eating only McDonald's on my 2500 calorie diet, and I include a full push workout too. Go check that video out if you haven't already seen it. Alright guys, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And until then, we'll see you in the next one.